It's going to seem like a random one for the channel, but bear with me for a second. Smite is a good game, okay? All right? It's a good game. And I realize that by saying Smite, it's kind of like that, you know that clip of Soulja Boy when they bring up Drake and he's like, Drake? There's people that naturally go, Smite? The game that stole from League of Legends? Smite? Yes, the game that stole from League of Legends, Smite. League of Legends wasn't even the first MOBA. And to be honest, Smite is different enough while still being the same to feel like its own thing. And I feel like it could be a lot more popular than it is. But it has a star problem. If you don't know what Smite is, it's a MOBA, much like League of Legends. It plays kind of the same way as League of Legends, where you buy items, you level up throughout the game, but you play from behind your character, meaning that you play it like with a third-person camera instead of like from the top, so you have to aim every ability, and I feel like it's easier to get engaged in the game, and I think it could be more potentially entertaining to watch, at least, like, especially from a streamer perspective, where you're not watching like a whole game go between, like, you know, 5 versus 5, you know, you're not watching from the air, you're watching a specific person just being good at aiming, and stuff like that, but it doesn't have a star, okay? And Smite can be a very addicting game, don't get me wrong, so can pretty much every game possible, but it can be addicting in good, fun ways. It can also be addicting in bad ways, but we could probably learn a thing or two about moderation. If we're playing the same game every day, we're probably going to eventually reach a point where it drives us crazy. Ninja looks like he hasn't slept in 30 years from that little period where he was super popular playing Fortnite, so, you know, just be careful. You know, he looked like he stopped enjoying that game about a couple months into being extremely successful playing the game, but sometimes you just need to take a break. Smite has no stars, or Smite 2. We're just going to call it Smite because Smite 2 isn't like a sequel. It's Smite 2.0. It's version 2.0. It's the same as the first one, but it's got necessary upgrades. And those upgrades are very cool. I think they needed to happen. It needed to be moved to a new engine and everything. And the changes they're making are pretty cool, in my opinion. But, are we going to bring new players to the game? Man, I can't imagine that we are, and I'll tell you why. The people that consume Smite content are people that play Smite exclusively. And you might be thinking, well, duh, why would you watch content for a game that you don't ever play? Tyler 1, Video Game Donkey. I'm telling you right now, when I was watching Tyler 1, when I was watching Video Game Donkey back when he played League of Legends, I wasn't playing League of Legends. I never cared to play League of Legends, although I will admit I did partake a little bit. But, and you might be thinking, well, this is kind of pointless because you would watch him play the game, but you wouldn't actually play the game. You have to understand that this is about boosting the popularity of the game. So yeah, you're going to get some people that might not play the game, but they'll watch it. But they're boosting content related to the game, which is causing people that will play the game to show up. People that might not have ever been interested in the game because they notice, what's this clip that has 1 million views? Smite, I've never heard of that. And then maybe they try it. Now, right now, a lot of the new players that watch content for the game are watching people that know a lot about the game, and they really have to just like understand the game, which is crazy because it should be easy to make clips that are, like, look crazy in Smite in theory because you have to aim everything, but like they're watching pro players, and the pro players in Smite are very cool, and that's very neat. I think they're all very cool people, but if you're a new player and you're watching like a pro player play Smite and you're thinking, this looks fun, you're probably thinking it looks fun because they're having a good time, because they're really good at the game. You're probably going to hop in the game and within 2 minutes somebody's going to tell you to kill yourself because you're just that awful. And this is life or death. But you get the idea. And even the non-pro streamers and content creators, they aren't really entertaining outside of the context of the game. Like I said, they're all very cool people, and if you understand the game, you understand why they're entertaining and funny. But if you don't, it's kind of hard. And it's like, I'm about to use an insanely stupid example to kind of explain this, but it's like somebody slipping on a banana peel, right? Classic bit. You see it happening, they don't even need to fall and hit their head. You just kind of see it like, uh-oh, there's a banana right. Oh, this guy doesn't see the banana peel. Uh-oh. Oh, he slipped a little bit. Classic. Gets me all hyped up thinking about it, okay? But imagine if he was about to slip on the banana peel, and either somebody stopped it, that would suck. Or, well, I guess it would be preventing someone from being harmed, but boring. Imagine if they slipped on a little bit, but they caught themselves, and everyone's like, that almost got you, ooh. But then some guy came up and he was like, you see, it's funny because the banana is slippery on the inside, and if you were walking on sidewalk, the change in traction would really throw you off and potentially cause you to slip. But what if he got a concussion? What if he did? That would not be funny, but he didn't. Like, why do you have to ruin it? Sometimes going too far and explaining the joke, and B, explaining why it would be a bad thing is not that good. Like, I've seen a lot of clips where, like Smite clips, where there's like a crazy like, I 100 to 0'd him, and in the clip the guy is explaining like, you see my Hydra's proc, and it's like, it's just not quite, like, it's not high energy, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's high energy in a sense that, like, yeah, you got to kill and you're explaining it, but it's not kind of like you almost need to trick people into feeling like they're a part of the kill, you know what I mean? That's what Tyler was always able to do. He was always able to get people personally invested, and Donkey did the same thing as well. We have a lot of people that aren't really good at getting new players interested in the game as like solo players. I think at one point there was a channel called BMT, and they played as like a group of 4 or 5 people, maybe 3 to 5 people, I don't know. But all of their clips were like just 3 to 5 dudes just chilling and laughing. And even then, a lot of their clips, you had to understand like why certain things were broken at the time to understand what was happening. They never really explained it. So, but if you played the game, you would go, wow, that bug's crazy. But they usually didn't explain the bug, and I don't know. It's just, there's something missing. There's a star missing. Like, we don't have anybody that has an int list, you know? And I'm not just talking about being toxic. Because we've had toxic players. Smite's had toxic players. Everyone that plays Smite, I'm sure, remembers DM Brandon and how much he sucked. But he was like a low energy toxicity that was never really entertaining in any way. And if you don't know who DM Brandon is, he played a lot of Smite. He was never a pro player, as far as I know. He had a lot of like game knowledge, but he didn't really have the mechanical skill to back it up. He was almost always bitching about how my team, oh my god, if only in this fight, my one teammate had showed up to heal me for 50 HP, I could have gotten a penta instead of dying instantly to 5 people because I jumped into 5 people. Yeah, we get it, we understand. And sometimes I have this problem as well, you know, it's easy to whine and bitch when you're playing a game because it's a game, so who gives a shit. But Brandon, DM Brandon, he was caught doing sketchy stuff outside of the context of the game. He was a little perv, you know what I mean? Or pest, if you will. And so they stopped him from making content, rightfully so, because he was low energy toxicity, which is just like a drain on your mental. Like, it's hard to explain why Tyler at the time would be as toxic as he was, but it would get you pumped. It's a slippery slope, that toxicity. But he used to have this int list. And I'm not saying that somebody should do this in Smite because it'd be insanely annoying. And Tyler has become reformed. I mean, he's still a little toxic, but he's definitely better than he was. And it was cool to see that journey. But he used to have this notepad on his desk. And like I said, I'm not condoning this activity. You should not do this. But basically, when he played with somebody that he didn't like or they annoyed him, he would add them to the list so that he knew the next game he played with them, he would need to feed his brains out. And if you don't know what feeding is, it's when you just run straight into the enemy team and die to them continuously so they get ahead in levels and items. Yeah, he would just do that, and he was just like so petty that it was funny, but he was Tyler. Like, he was high energy. It was like balls to the wall. DM Brandon was always just like, meh, my team. Meh. He was like very, I don't know, soy about it. And it's not just because Tyler is jacked, okay? We also had Donkey, who unfortunately is another person that got banned from the game, although I feel like his reasoning for getting banned is a little more understandable because he was talking trash to somebody that was feeding in games, which is unfun. Ironically, he was talking trash to somebody that I guess would have been like Tyler, and he ended up getting banned because of it. But Donkey was continuously uploading videos about League of Legends at a time when I didn't play League of Legends, and I still just genuinely really enjoyed watching those videos because he was entertaining. And there were quite a few times where Donkey would make a video and I'd go like, maybe I should step into League. Now, granted, I could never get addicted to League in the same way that I got addicted to Smite, but I feel like that's the thing. Smite was never really given that opportunity to see if it could flourish because it's never had a content creator that's been able to push it at that level. Like I said, there's a lot of cool people, and there's a lot of funny people in like a chill way, but there's not like comedians, I guess, playing the game. Is the best way to describe it. And I think that goes really far, and I realize there's going to be people who don't care because they're like, I don't want new players in the game. I want my game to always have 2,000 players, and I want, you know, it to die off in 2 years because the developers can't make any money. So be it, man. I want to see the game succeed because I feel like there's a lot of potential there. I feel like Hi-Rez does make they make a lot of mistakes. I mean, I'm not a CEO of a company. I can't tell you how to run a video gaming company. I can tell you how to run certain other companies, not video games. But you know, there's iffy things going on, but it's just, even outside of the issues they have, there's a community issue, you know? And I would just like to say, for full transparency, there was a period where I was banned from Smite. Now, at the time, it was kind of funny because I had a conversation with one of their moderation team people at High Res about the ban, and they showed me the messages that I sent. And first off, they were pretty. Some of them were pretty funny. I can't remember what they were. I screenshotted them at the time, but I don't think I still have the screenshot around. But I was sending them to people that I knew because all of the responses were replies to other people. Right? It was clear that I was arguing with somebody and I was responding to something somebody said to me. But one of them was just like, "Bitch, my mom loves me, bitch." I can't even remember the context of this. He must have said he must have went down like the typical your mom doesn't love you route or something. And I was just like, I'll have you know that my fucking mom loves me very much, bitch. More than your mom loves me, and she loves me a lot. It was probably something stupid like that, but I think just without knowing the context, it was funny. But there were clear responses to other people being toxic towards me. And I think in that specific case, it was literally because I picked a god that the guy didn't like. Like, I picked a character in the game that the guy didn't like, or a character that was annoying. So he was saying my mom didn't love me because I picked that character. And I went off on him. And at the time, Hi-Rez told me, because I was like, can you not pull up the whole chat? And you could see that I was clearly responding to somebody else. And they said, no, we can only see your chats, which doesn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is. And then they asked me why I didn't report the guy, to which I said, I'm not a snitch. And I think... I think not being a snitch goes a long way. I don't want the game to become a toxic cesspool, even though it already is. I mean, realistically, if we're being 100% honest, if we're afraid of new players coming along, League of Legends, which is known for being toxic, I feel just isn't nearly as toxic as Smite is, with a much, much smaller community. I don't know if it blew up, if it would make that toxicity even worse, or if we just need more, less experienced players that aren't taking the game as seriously as the people that play Smite because they're heavily invested into it. You know what I mean? They won't be as toxic because they don't have any reason to be, because they just enjoy games. The people playing Smite are like hardcore, heavy invested into Smite, and so they take it more serious. And that leads to more toxicity. And like I said, I'm not the person to go to. If you want me to be like a beacon to end toxicity in the community, it's not going to happen. It's a video game. Quite frankly, I don't give a shit. There's bigger things going on in the planet than like, this guy said some mean things to me in a video game. I don't care. You know what I mean? I will say I do get a little upset when somebody, runs it down mid and feeds. But quite frankly, if that guy gets banned or not, I don't care, because I'm just going to go on to the next game and I'll be all right. It'll be fine. But I don't know. I'm just built different. I'm just built different. It's a video game. It's not the end of my life. It's not life or death. It's just, I feel like a lot of the community really focuses on like the potential toxicity, and does that potentially scare people away? Maybe, but I can also tell you that Counter-Strike is filled with toxic people. Overwatch is filled with toxic people. Marvel Rivals is filled with toxic people. Multiplayer games are filled with toxic people. Do you think Smite's the only game that's filled with toxic people? I don't think the toxic community is the problem, because literally every game has a toxic community of tryhards. That just kind of comes natural with tryhards. The problem is that the game is so hyper-focused on those types of people who are heavily invested in the game. We're not really doing anything, I guess, as a community, and I'm not a Smite content creator, so maybe I shouldn't be yapping, but the Smite community isn't doing anything to bring in new players that might not be as invested in the game, but they might just have fun. And yeah, they might lose you some games. They might lose you some games because they don't know what they're doing, but it'll be all right. You'll be fine. Trust me, I'll be the first one to be like, bitch, did you just install the game today? Like, were you born yesterday? What is going on? Did you just learn how to breathe this morning? How do you function in normal? Like, I'm going to talk that trash, but I want those new players here. I'm going to get over it by the next game. I'm going to be fine. I might run into him again. Maybe he'll be on the enemy team and I can stomp him, and that'll be funny, and that'll be rewarding for me. But the point is, I want the game to fucking grow. I don't know. I feel like we went through a period where we're maybe we're just too afraid to be that guy. And I've seen a couple small channels, and I don't want to say anything about them yet, because I don't know. I can't say anything now. In the future, maybe it'll be the case, but I'm seeing some small channels, I'm talking under 5,000 subs, that are solo players, some are good, some are, in the lower ranks, they're in silver, gold, whatever, but they're funny, and, You know, they talk about the things that drive them crazy about the game, but they do so in a fun way. They're not just like, man, game sucks because you must make it bit bit. You know, they take it and they turn it into something that's entertaining and funny. Yeah, they have a teammate that looks like they just installed the game today, but they're funny about it. You know, if you're going to be toxic, you might as well be funny, especially if you're a streamer. So that's how I feel about that. Now, granted, who knows? What if this video randomly gets caught up in the Smite community? I'm sure everyone will bitch and they'll whine and they'll be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And you can continue to enjoy the fact that the game loses popularity over time, month after month, even though Smite 2 just released. Hey, maybe it'll work out for them. They just fired a bunch of people at high res. I don't know how things are looking, but maybe I just might be onto something, considering that we see this happen with a lot of other communities. Call of Duty has had its stars. It's had its pro players that are stars. It has regular people that are stars. I mean, Call of Duty is just filled with tryhards in general. But they almost always talk trash. There's like one of my favorite Call of Duty, really the only person that I watch play Call of Duty is just this dude that kind of looks like a Napoleon Dynamite with long hair, but he talks nonstop trash. And it's crazy entertaining, and he's toxic, but like, it's crazy entertaining. But like, battle royales always have people like this. Smite just doesn't have anybody like this. It really doesn't, and it's rough. It's rough.